So today I have for you today a look at the 2009 Part A group of the open-ended essay third question examples. And from this I'm going to analyze each of the three different essays, both the 9 and the 6th, and then finally the 4. And then I'm going to tell you how you can apply this to your writing for the AP English and Literature and Composition test. Okay, we'll start with the first essay, The Night. Now, this essay was on the play The Wild Duck by Henry Ibsen, and even though this essay did score 9, the thesis paragraph is very weak. However, it still asserts a broad idea that the rest of the essay does go along with. And even though there are very good points mentioned in this essay, it's rather subpar with the writing style that we're used to. And it seems to be that the grader gave them this extensive score based on the sheer length of the paper. And because the grader does mention specifically how weak the thesis was and how weak the concluding paragraphs were, but says that the essay provides a wealth of insightful detail about the play. So again, this hints at the criteria of just sheer length. And there is a poor introduction and a poor conclusion, but there's a lot of personality to this essay, as shown by various points of humor, such as the specific example of, through the whole essay, he's likening this character Gregors, he's proving that he's likened to a dog that's also in the novel, and then when discussing the beliefs of the specific character, Gregors, he decides to mention his idealism as dogged idealism. So that's a little corny joke for you. Probably brightened up the grader's day. So that's a good point to remember if you're taking this test in the year of 2017. Okay, so the second essay is on A Streetcar Named Desire. And this author of this essay focuses on a lady named Blanche who puts lampshades. She has an odd obsession with putting lampshades on lamps that don't have them, of course. Now, this does have a good basis in the thesis statement for a good analysis throughout the essay, but the first two paragraphs are mostly summary until the last about quarter of the second paragraph. Now, you're obviously going to want to avoid this in your own because this person only got a 6 on their essay. Now, two of these specific body paragraphs of the three that the author wrote only start with the topic sentence that talks about summary, and there's absolutely no analysis to it, and you can infer that this is why they did not get a 7 or higher. Now, the first body paragraph does attempt to look at the character's actions in depth, but they mention that something appears to be simple on the surface, and then they don't make any type of assertion that there's anything going on below the surface of this character. So it just becomes a summary of this play, and I think the score of 6 is definitely generous for this essay. Now, when they do get to the point of discussing the actions of the same character in depth, which is towards the end of the essay, the author seems to be looking to talk about literary terms, but they don't know what they're talking about. The person tries to describe Blanche as an unreliable narrator, but instead says that the reader learns to not trust anything that Blanche says, and that it ends up being far from the truth, which is hence the dictionary definition of an unreliable narrator. Now, the third essay, which is the 4, and I didn't even bother coming up with a not-so-clever joke for this title because it's bad. I honestly don't even know how it got a 4. But the thesis paragraph is so weak that they say, in my opinion, in the second sentence of the paragraph, completely just changing the mindset of the grader initially to say that this person doesn't know what they're talking about and this is all just an opinion essay and that nothing follows will be supported by evidence, which does end up being true in the case of this essay. This essay is on the novel Things Fall Apart, and the essay is so bad that they don't even list an author for this work. And the entire essay revolves around summary, and there are a few attempts at analysis, but the analysis only relates to the surface plot and relates not to any overarching themes or any larger ideas of man versus nature, which, judging from the summary, the large amount of summary that they gave, could be a very easy thing to write about. They even say, this machete gave him power, strength, intimidation, and a sense of defense, talking about one of the characters in the book, but then they do not relate this to any theme in the book, and this is the most in-depth analysis in the thing. So the only evidence-based claim in this essay is the final sentence of the concluding paragraph, when the author says that there's no pride in taking one's life, and that means that symbolically relates to the man not having his machete when he dies. That's the only analysis, and it's in the last sentence of the concluding paragraph. And there's only one justification that the grader did give for the score of 4 rather than a 1 or a 2, was that the essay, despite being very bad, was written by a person who knew how to use the English language. So I think that they were just trying to be very nice to this inept person. So this brings us back to where the beginning of this whole essay is. After looking at 3 of these, we can now take apart how to read the prompt for the open-ended essay. Now, the first thing you should do while reading the prompt is to circle the important details, such as the symbol right here and the themes of the work as a whole. So this says that it describes a symbol, and then it says what you need to do after selecting a novel or a play, and analyze how the symbol functions in the work and what it reveals about the characters or themes of the work as a whole. And notice that it says as a whole, and so you're not just looking at specific parts of the plot. And speaking of plot, it says do not summarize the plot. So any summary that should be listed in your essay should be immediately followed or build up to a larger analysis of the work as a whole and the themes within that work. So the last sentence of the prompt is the most important because it says there that what you need to tell about the symbol. So this last sentence does describe what your essay is going to be about. It's not just the first sentence and then you can start writing. You need to read the last sentence because that is the most important. Now, I'm not condoning skipping the whole middle meat because that is also very important, but this is the most important part. Now, organizing paragraphs. This is a bit of a chunky part. So thesis paragraph. This is very subjective depending on what grader you get. Because the general idea of the thesis paragraph, by definition, is to assert a statement that covers the concept of your essay broadly, without leaning into vagueness or too much summary. Now, the body paragraphs, the layout of a body paragraph should, at the bare bones, be an initial topic sentence that's steeped in analysis with, of course, doing verbs, so no be verbs, no has verbs. So what does what, if you will. And after this, there should be snippets of support with detailed analysis of the evidence given. And then larger connections can come in later paragraphs or towards the end of other paragraphs so that there is enough supporting evidence to make a broad claim. And then the conclusion paragraph is the trickiest paragraph because you need to both detail how your analysis ties into the prompt and then expand or create a larger idea of how these analysis tidbits affect the entire work that you bring under scrutiny. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day.